Good evening, members, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this special council tonight. We're not expecting a fire evacuation or fire call tonight, but here are the details on the screens for you tonight. But there will be large noise if there is one, so please follow the officers and the instructions given. Thank you very much. There's a lot to talk about tonight. I know some of the members couldn't make the briefing, the workshop that we had earlier, and they may have similar questions to those that were asked in the meeting. But please, it's probably going to be a lengthy meeting. We could be at the site and as pertinent as possible in your questions and comments, please, tonight. Thank you. We've got... here we go. We've got... Okay, we have firstly apologies.
Yes, Chair, we've received apologies tonight from councillors Atkin, Graham Elliott, Millward, Monks, Purdy, Mike and Irene Ratcliffe, Councillor Shirley, Councillor Tilbrook and Councillor Wilde.
Okay, thank you very much. Item 3, interest. Are there any interest, members? None shown. Thank you very much. Sorry, I beg your pardon, we've missed out public participation. We have got, in fact, 3 speakers, but one is going to be a double act. You've got three minutes each. If I could ask Councillor Rose just to move to his left so that we can see the speakers. First of all, we've got Councillor David Malaban, please, from Middleton by Yorkblade, please. We've got 3 minutes, so if you can turn on the mic so it shows the red light, you have 3 minutes from when you start. Thank you very much.
First of all, thank you all very much for giving me the opportunity to express the views of the residents of Middleton and Smerrill regarding the public conveniences in the centre of the village of Middleton by Yorkblade. Middleton and Smerrill has a large geographical area and a small population. No shops, no pubs, no cafe, no commercial activity other than an artist showroom, some B&Bs and an aggregates company operating on the outskirts of the parish. Being part of the Peak District National Park, there are large numbers of visitors that are continuously growing who come to enjoy the beauty and tranquility of the area. Some areas of particular interest in our parish are below Council O'Noll, now known as the Millennium Wood, Bradford Dale, Longdale, Bateman's Tomb, and the sites of meaning that mark 17 of the 20 entrances into the parish. Visitors have long been encouraged rather successfully by the County Council, themselves, the District Council and the Peak Park, but with little apparent consideration to the infrastructure or how the residents will manage with the influx of vehicles and people. Whilst the parish covers a large geographical area, the population is very small. There are approximately 140 of us, the majority of them reside in the village and 25% in outlying farms. And with the small number of properties and residents, we therefore have a very small precept of £3,300. Now, the village tends to be the central point for exploring the area, and so having identified the need for a public toilet back in 1993, an agreement was reached with the District Council to provide public toilets in the village that would be open all year round. The premises that are owned by the Parish Council would be leased to the District Council until the year 2043. This took the form of a 50-year legal agreement between the District Council and the Parish Council based on the needs of the local community 25 years ago, and given the current levels of use, has proved to be a good decision. The agreement included the proviso that they are open all year round, until back in 2011 when seasonal closure was introduced, an unfortunate oversight occurred whereby the agreement was not properly consulted, and despite our strong objection at that time, the toilets have since been the subject of seasonal closure. So if I could very quickly summarise, The parish precept of 3,300 is lower than the quoted running cost of the toilets at 3,996. There is a large influx of visitors and vehicles into the area that no doubt benefits the county as a whole, but no significant benefit to the local community. A need for public conveniences was identified and actioned upon 25 years ago, and those needs are just as necessary now, in fact even more so than they were then. And we do have a legal agreement operational for a further 25 years to provide public conveniences all year round. We would therefore request that you amend the current situation to bring the agreement back in line by retaining the toilets and returning to all-year opening. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. If I could now ask Councillor Dick Foxton and Roger Truscott to speak. 3 minutes combined, that is. And then press the button to start. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing us to put our views to you. I'd like to introduce, first of all, Dick Foxton and myself, Roger Truscott, who are both parish councillors at Overhaul, and we represent the views of the council which met last Monday. First of all, I'd like to say that we are pleased to note that the office's recommendation is to keep the public toilets at Overhaul open and support this. We'd like to remind councillors that the toilets in Overhaul were built in conjunction with the public car park in 1985 at the time when the Nathcal Dale was designated as a national nature reserve, which, as I'm sure you know, is the highest level of nature conservation in the country, and generates a lot more visitors in subsequent years because of this. At the time, because the National Park recognised this, they paid 75% of the cost of building the public toilets and the car park on the understanding that they would be maintained by the District Council in perpetuity after that. We'd like to emphasise that the public toilets are of vital importance to the local tourism economy, especially based on outdoor recreation, for both the Derbyshire Dales district and for the Peak District as a whole. Car parks and public toilets, we feel, are more than just amenities. I think that in the present time they have become seen as necessities for visitors into the area. Tourism, which generates a great deal of income, as I'm sure you all know, for the district as a whole, and therefore we feel that facilities associated with it and necessary for it should be funded by the district rather than local parish councils. And I'll pass on to my colleague Foxton for the rest of it.
50 seconds left, please.
Thank you. Overhaul Parish Council believes that the toilets and car park are a district-wide rather than a parish responsibility. The car park currently generates more than enough income by a large margin to cover the cost of maintaining, including cleaning, public toilets. Proposed levy will further advance this income level, and we feel that the annual cost of maintaining and cleaning the toilets should now revert back to the authority. We would also point out that an income is also available from part of the toilet block being used as an electricity substation with a lease that is now due for renewal. Our question to this body is, as happened, does the additional levy proposed to increase car park fees to cover maintenance mean that the Derbyshire Dales District Council is taking back full control and providing for its own cleaner? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I should say that the officers will be handling any questions or comments made by the speakers in the debate tonight. Thank you. And finally, we have Mr. John Coffey to talk about Ballleys Park. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is John Coffey, and I run the boats and the train down in Ballleys Park. Primarily, I'm talking about the toilets in the play area. I run basically the boats from March until the end of September, beginning of October, and the amount of footfall that actually goes into that one area is massive. I notice you've quoted down as 71,000 people attend there. I suspect it's actually more than that. The amount of people, the main customers there are small children, women, pregnant women, etc. If those toilets are closed, it will put a lot of strain on the other toilets in Hawley's Park at the top, and I don't think you'll be able to cope with the capacity of people going in there. Also, you've got to bear in mind that the park is almost, it's like the jewel in the crown of Matlock. You get people coming from all over the country there. In fact, nationally, internationally, you get people from all over the world. I've run the business for 3 years. In that 3 years, I've noticed the amount of people increasing. They come into the park. They don't just come to Matlock to go to McDonald's or whatever. They come into Matlock, they come into the park, and then they feed out to the other resources, the other businesses in the park. It has been commented to me in the past that the toilets are in poor condition, and they are. You know, we could use this opportunity now to compact the toilets, make them better, and produce a better toilet environment, for want of a better word, for the people who come to Matlock. You say you're going to knock the toilet block down, but I've also noticed you've got the plant room in there for the pool areas. Is that going as well, or is that staying?
That will be answered later.
That'll be answered later. Okay. So also, I've noticed the costings for the Hawley's play area toilets. They're relatively low. There's no business costs. There appears to be any water rates written down there. I don't know why that is. So if you compare that Hawley's Park to, say, for example, Birchover, the running costs of Hawley's Park are per head are a lot cheaper. You're looking at something like 10p a head per person. Whereas, for example, Birchover, which I know because I live there, you're looking at 89p. You produce a facility there in Hawley's Park, and you charge 20p. I'm sure people will be willing to pay that sort of money for a good service. Also, it's the first thing that a lot of the people who come into Matlock see is the toilet facility, and that to me is presentation. It puts Matlock in either a good light or a poor light.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Stumpy. Thank you very much. Right.
Can I have a point of information, please, Chair?
Certainly, Councillor Pauly.
Would the Chair allow point-by-point decision on those toilets that are due for closure?
If I may answer that by what I was going to say, okay, we've got the report here now, and we are we're going to take the numbers that you put on the recommendation of item number 4, so the recommendations 1 and 2 together, then 3, 4 and 5 together, and then the rest of them all individually. Okay, and but the officers will have some comments before that. You are welcome to make those comments as you wish. Does that answer your question?
Sorry, it doesn't. Number 10 groups all the toilets that are due for closure in one block. Are we going to vote on those separately?
There is in that one we are going to, in item 10 it takes out Bonsall and Bradwell. Okay.
So the rest of them we're voting on block.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Right. Can we continue, please? So, can we continue, please? I'm going to ask Sandra to kick off each item because it's very important, and we're going to ask her to start on the recommendations, which we'll vote on 1 and 2 together about the community asset transfer, and then the 1-year lease for the facilities at need. Sandra first, please, and hopefully we'll get some clarity. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. If I may, just a general introduction for the benefit of the members of the public, so I can guide them to the important parts of the report just before we begin. I think it's worthwhile beginning with an explanation as to why we have the review and what the intended outcomes are to be. In November 2017, the Council approved an efficiency plan where it set its stall out to make particular savings in support of its overall funding gap. In November 2017, the Council agreed to attempt to make savings of £250,000 on the public conveniences budget. On Monday this week, the Council also had its budget setting meeting, and the efficiency plan was approved, and the budget was agreed on unanimously by all councillors, and the level of savings was reduced to £240,000, and those savings have been projected over 2 years. That's an attempt to bridge a £1 million funding gap in the Council's overall budget. Now, public conveniences is a discretionary service for the District Council. It is not compelled to do it. And in the report, you'll see the legal references in the beginning of the report. You'll also see from page 9 on and 10 a list of conveniences in the Derbyshire Dales that are run by ourselves and other providers, so that you can see that we're not the only party involved in providing toilets for members of the public. As part of the review, we set their stall hours as a very small team. I'd like to identify a couple of those members with me tonight. On the left we have Tim Braun, who you may know as the Head of Regulatory Services. On the right we have Mike Goldsworthy, who you may know as Estates and Facilities Manager. We've worked collectively with other members as cross-party to do this review team, and it isn't our natural service. So we've been approaching this with a completely fresh pair of eyes, and one of our first aims was to complete a robust report as possible. And one of the first things that we set out to do was actually clarify the costs involved in running public conveniences, so the public may see those costs associated with the actual cleaners or the stock. It's not quite as simple as that, and if you look at Appendix 1 to the report, you'll see how those costs are broken down for the year 2016 and 17. So apart from the actual cleaning staff, we also have vehicle recharges because we need to get people to the outlying centres. The service is also reliant on our clean and green colleagues who work in a different service to open up facilities, because many of these are open 7 days a week. We also have to have the support of agency workers. We then, because we're a very large organisation, have our own fixed overheads to deal with, such as accountancy services, payroll, insurances, the cost of buildings, and those together end up with a proportion going directly to public conveniences. And it brings the total 16-17 at just over £467,000. So just to crystallise the amount of money that the District Council is investing in 26 facilities in the Derbyshire Dales. As part of the review, we had an interim report to the Community and Environment Committee, and on the face of it, we have identified the potential for charging to bring some income into the District Council, which might help support some of the fixed costs of these facilities. We went out to consultation, a period of 6 weeks, on the potential to charge. We also consulted on what's called a community toilet scheme, which is the ability to support local businesses with a very small grant in return for opening their facilities up for free use by members of the public. The report documents the result of that consultation, and that's within the body of the report. The committee also approved grounds for us to consider the potential for closure, and that's always been the option of last resort as far as the group is concerned. We've tried to mitigate the options for closure as best we can, but the committee approved those terms for us. And we've done a full assessment of all the facilities, assessing their financial viability, their future liability in terms of repairs, and that's in Appendix 4 to the report. Now, there has been a recent update in terms of that, so please make sure you're looking at Appendix 4 that has a watermark update. That includes the latest update of version 4, and that version also includes some commercial values for properties which may be right for disposal as an alternative to running them as public conveniences. So that's a general introduction, Chair. I hope that members of the public will be able to follow it in terms of the key documents. But turning specifically for the community asset transfer, one of the elements that Tim and I specialised in particular was going out to talk to town and parish councils as part of the review, We spent an awful lot of time doing this. We met town and parish councils at their request. We met once, perhaps twice. And our aim was to talk about the review so they understood where the district council was coming from. And on the table we had a financial offer to encourage community asset transfers. And what that means is that, subject to agreement, we would be passing responsibility for cleaning and future maintenance, future liabilities of the toilets to another community body, ideally a town and parish council, because they have the same powers as the district council. They are able to run public conveniences. They have an added advantage in that they're not capped financially. And I'm pleased to say that, subject to formal agreement, we are able to transfer the public conveniences at Ashford in the Water to the parish council, and the facilities at Barnwell Project Worksworth to the town council. We also have a partial offer of a community asset transfer on the table at Eyam, and if it wasn't for all that white stuff that fell a week ago, Eyam Parish Council would have had their parish council meeting, and I would be speaking to you with 100% confidence that that was going ahead. I have spoken to the chairman of the parish council, who's given me a high degree of confidence, I'm able to go perhaps 90%, that there is a deal on the table there that would see 50% of the liability moving to Eyam Parish Council. Eyam have consulted with their residents and they will be quite happy to take on the cleaning and stock control of that facility, which represents about 50% of the total running costs. They'd like to do that on an experimental basis for 12 months of the year, just to see how that goes. The offer on the table was the original £3,000 that I had authority to give, but during the early stages of the review it became apparent that that probably wasn't very attractive to transfer some of the facilities. So under the urgent decision-making procedures, my delegated authority was enhanced to include the cost of backlog repairs, provided that didn't exceed 1 year's total running costs. So those two parish councils with grant aid benefited from the enhanced offer. And those items, recommendations 1 and 2, are for noting, Chair.
Thank you.
Sorry, Chair, just a reminder of something else. Under the community asset transfer procedure, as part of the review we did rather thorough title checks, and it became apparent that two public conveniences in our area, Bonsall and Bradwell, the title isn't clear. In Bradwell, toilets bar the ramp up to the disabled facility are unregistered, so the district council doesn't currently own them. They probably belong to Severn Trent Water, and there is a possibility that we can transfer those facilities over time, and Bradwell Parish Council are, subject to that being a possibility, are interested in taking on community asset transfer. Because of that prospect, I'd like to remove Bradwell from the list of potential closures. And similarly at Bonsall, we have another unique situation where the plan currently registered with the land registry is halfway through the premises, where perhaps the wash basin belongs to one party and the flushing end belongs to another. That's something we need to resolve, and if we can, Bonsall Parish Council would again seek to take those facilities on by way of a community asset transfer. For that reason, I'd like to withdraw Bonsall from the potential list of closures in the hope that we can advance community asset transfers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Rose, this is for item recommendation on page 3, items 1 and 2. Councillor Rose.
Only kicking off on items 1 and 2, and I'll certainly want to move that we accept those two recommendations. Now, I'm sure everybody would think that actually a community asset transfer to a town or parish council is a very good thing. It gives local ownership to a local facility. And whilst I've heard what the speaker said earlier about, it's the district council's responsibility, in a better financial situation, yes, I would accept that when we managed 34 toilets and now down to 26 over many years when things were financially better, but they're not, and we all know they're not. And we had that debate on Monday night about the financial position, and Francis rightly reminded us of it. So I think those parish councils and town councils which have hitherto accepted community asset transfer, and those now on the list, including Ashford and Water, Works and possibly Bonsall and right, well, let's sort out the price. Well, to be congratulated and thanked for taking a very public-spirited local set of actions and accepting responsibility for something we can't manage. Let's be honest about it. We can't go on like this. So, I think we should wholeheartedly endorse these recommendations. I can see there's little to argue about when you've got volunteers taking on their local facilities.
Councillor Catt.
Chairman, I second that motion and reserve the right to speak later in the debate.
Councillor Finesse.
Thank you, Chair. Just in confirmation of what Sandra just said about Bradwell Parish Council and the toilets there. I was at the meeting on Tuesday evening and asked them for confirmation, that they are interested in toilets. And they've since produced a statement, which I'll read just in confirmation. Bradwell Parish Council has been in discussion with Derbyshire Dales District Council for more than a year and has previously expressed a willingness to take over operation of the Bradwell toilets from Derbyshire Dales Council, provided that a cost-effective mechanism can be agreed. At the Tuesday 6th of March meeting of Council, this willingness was reaffirmed unanimously and concern was expressed about the proposals by Derbyshire Dales to recommend closure of the facility. As Bradwell Parish Council is still in discussion with District, we request that any decisions or actions in respect of Bradwell's Brookside toilet facility be delayed. Bradwell Parish Council is working on a management plan which, with the cooperation of District, would facilitate the takeover of responsibilities and continuing operation of the toilets to the benefit of the whole community.
Thank you very much. Councillor Slack.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I congratulate Wiltshire Town Council in taking over the toilets. They're very proactive at Wiltshire. They've had to raise the money, of course, to take them over, but they look more to the community. And I agree with Councillor Rose that we congratulate these voluntary bodies and local authorities that take them over. So, yes, I'm pleased to support this. Thank you, Chair.
I've got no one else to talk on items 1 and 2. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favour, please show. That's unanimous. 1 and 2 are passed. Thank you very much. If we move on then and take 3, 4 and 5, which is to do with charging, this together. Sandra, please.
Thank you, Chair. You will see that we consulted on the prospect of charging as a result of an earlier decision of the Community and Environment Committee. Just point you to the relevant sections of the report where the public majority are in favour of charging. They have certain expectations of what they're willing to expect on charge, and 20p appear to be the appropriate level. You'll also notice, however, that one of the sites that was originally identified as having a potential for charge, Baslow, has been removed from that list. That's simply a reflection of the condition of the facilities and our ability to meet the public's expectations in that regard. But there is also an inclusion of a new item, and that's at Bakewell Recreation Ground, where we feel that is liable to charge. I'm happy to answer any questions, Chair.
Councillor Rose.
Well, this is one of the key elements of the report that Sandra and her team have put together, because the potential income from this source is quite significant in helping towards the savings that we are endeavouring to achieve. And it seems to me that 20p is a relatively modest figure. So I'm prepared to move items 3, 4 and 5. I don't think there should be a higher figure. I think that would be counterproductive in putting people off in using those facilities. But I accept, and I hope we all accept, that what we're going to get out of this is a higher standard, a better standard. I'm not saying that the standard in some of these toilets not being pretty good given the circumstances, but I think the public, the visitors in particular, because these toilets are probably used just as much by visitors as they are by our residents, will expect a better standard, and I'm sure from the report and everything that's been said at the work beforehand that we can rely on that to occur. So I'll move those 3 recommendations with that understanding.
Councillor Catt.
Yes, I'll echo everything that's been said there. And secondly, the motion, I mean, we always knew that difficult decisions were coming. Well, now they're here, and we will have to have the courage to take those decisions. Given the District Council's financial position, the need to secure savings in support of the medium-term financial plan, the discretionary service of providing public conveniences at no cost is simply unsustainable. Chair, I'm seconding the motion.
Councillor Swindell.
Question, Chair, if I may, and I apologise if it's covered in the briefing, I was unable to make it. Yep. Charging for the toilets, we're being told that this is essential to bridge our funding gap. But from what I read in the report from the respondents is that they will expect charging to mean higher standards in the public conveniences. So can I have reassurance that the money that is generated from charging for the toilets will go directly back into maintaining the toilets and improving the toilets rather than just funding gaps elsewhere?
The income from charging is intended to cover the fixed costs of the toilets. The whole remit of the review aims to rationalise the stock so that we can use our repairs budget wisely. So, to answer the question, it will be going to cover costs, and the repairs budget will deal with the standards.
Councillor Botham.
Thank you. Recommendation number 5 states that it's set at 20 pence for just that 1 year. Is that because you foresee the charge going up? And if so, what would be the reason for the charge going up?
We're certainly not predicting anything at this stage. We're setting a fee for 2018-19 for transparency purposes for our fees and charges schedule. I think one of the potential outcomes of this review would be that the council will want to review how this has been taken and to see whether it does need to review the fee structure, but nothing is predicted further than setting this fee for 18-19.
Have we got any other speakers on these items? It's been moved and seconded. All those in favour, please show. Is that unanimous? It's unanimous, thank you. So 3, 4 and 5 are carried. Thank you very much. We now go to number 6, the facility at Middlesbrough. You agree, Sandra?
Thank you, Chair, and acknowledge the council's attendance. We have met on a couple of occasions in the past when I've been out to visit the parish. I understand totally the parish's situation in terms of taking on a community asset transfer, and I am aware of the lease. However, I do feel that the terms of the lease were silent at the point when it was closed seasonally, and unfortunately the council isn't in a financial position to revert back to the 12 months opening, but the recommendation is therefore to remain for 6 months.
Councillor Rose.
I'll move that recommendation.
Councillor Finesse.
I'll second that.
Thank you very much.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Great. Any other comments? It's been moved and seconded. All those in favour, please show. Unanimous? Yes. Thank you very much. Item number 7, the formal consultation about the off-street parking law. Sandra.
Thank you, Chairman. This was a late initiative that the group came up with. Basically, we've got a number of rural conveniences in the areas described by representatives from Overhaddon, where they have a high visitor population, but the parishes are very small, and the number of households there to raise a precept to perhaps take on the facility isn't practicable in those options. But Overhaddon sits on a car park, Baslow sits on a car park, and Hartington is very close to one. So there is a potential here to add a levy on of 20p per particular band and £1 on a coach. And the estimated revenue overall for those 3 areas is about £9,002. And we're suggesting that those monies go directly to supporting the maintenance of those facilities. And it would help those facilities wash their face. Now, there is a statutory process involved in changing the car parking fee structure, which is outlined in the report and is part of the recommendation.
Councillor Rose.
I'll move those recommendations. It seems to me in a very innocent way of addressing the problem, and as the coroner has said, the money raised will go directly into that
Councillor Chapman.
Yeah, I'd like to say that, Chair, and just to let the meeting know that the meeting of the Parish Council last night was greeted with enthusiasm.
Thank you very much. Councillor Sue Burford.
Thank you, Chair. On item 7B, I noticed it says that the levy be directed to repairs and improvements. Now, we talked earlier about the money raised being directed towards repairs, but repairs and improvements, will that include a better cleaning regime, or do we put repairs and improvements to mean the same thing, really?
Now, repairs and improvements are different to a cleaning standard. Currently, Overhaddon cleans the toilet, and if I may just respond to the question that the member of the public, one of the councillors raised there, it is our assumption that Overhaddon will continue to clean the toilets. We've certainly not been party to any formal discussions about that. So if the parish do want to progress those, I think we need to talk outside of the meeting. It's certainly our assumption that on the basis of goodwill and a continuing relationship, that Overhaddon will want to continue cleaning facility now that we've managed to mitigate closure. But the cleaning of the facilities is all down to salary costs, and unfortunately I think we have to admit that those facilities won't have the highest levels of attention, but they will continue to have the good standard that they currently enjoy.
Councillor Pawley, please.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry to ask this of you because I know you told me about this at the briefing, but I'd like it to be out there for the public to hear. Could you tell me why this levy can't be used to keep open the toilets at Artist Corner and Matlock Park, please?
An assessment's been made on each property in turn, and we feel that Artist Corner car park has different merits and disbenefits to the ones in the rural areas, such that Artist Corner is not recommended for similar treatment.
Councillor Slag.
Thank you, Chair. Part of my question, you answered Councillor Burford. The other part of my question is, will this now balance the budget on number 7?
No, but it makes a healthy contribution.
How much are we at?
Bear with us this one.
Very hefty report.
If you looked at Overhaddon, the total running cost there is £7,633 a year, and the projected income from the car parking charge in that area is £1,370. So it makes a small contribution to offset the running costs.
So would it be advisable to lift the car park a little further? Or celebration?
I think, Chair, that the 20p levy goes away to contributing to the facilities, because from what we know, those car parks are used predominantly by visitors, which obviously we want to still encourage to visit those areas.
Councillor Martin Burford.
Thank you, Chair. I agree with the recommendation for A and B, in fact, as the Overhaddon and Hartington car parks to be charged in terms of the car parks for the toilets use. But I agree with Councillor Pawley, actually. I can't understand why an Artist Corner car park can't be included in that category. And also, a classic case, I think, is Monsell Head. I think we need to look more carefully at the geographical distribution of the toilets and the demand because of tourist honeypots around the district. Monsell Head is a good example of that, I think, where it's away from any community, and there's only a hotel there and a few houses, but it's very well used by walkers on the trail, for instance, on the Pedal Peter Street Trail, and obviously cyclists as well. It's some way out of little Longston Parish, parish village, I should say. I think it should be included. It's got quite a good high usage of 111,000 by the looks of it. And I don't know what the alternative would be, because obviously people are going to be visiting that car park generally at weekends, but I've known it for many, many years, and it always has a high usage in the summer. And I can't understand why it can't be included in that policy, because otherwise there's going to be antisocial activity, and I think the hotel are going to find a lot of problems.
Councillor Flitter.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'm just looking at the business case for Artist Corner. I'm just not too sure on what Sandra was telling us. Perhaps I could have a little more information, because 62,000 people using those facilities over the year, and even if you halve that, or even a quarter of that, plus 20p, is going to bring in an income which would seriously look at the costs of running those toilets.
In the assessment chair at Matlock Bath Artist Corner toilets, we used the standard template that we used for all facilities, and it was viewed that the potential capital receipt and the location of other toilets in the vicinity meant that this one was right for alternative use by ways of disposal.
Okay, thank you very much. I've got nobody else on the table. It's been moved and seconded, so that is items 7, A and B. All those in favour, please show. That is unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll go on to item 8, the business cases for commercial elements. Sandra.
Thank you, Chair. As part of the review, as you say, we were trying to mitigate the options for closure. And we're trying to widen our sphere a little bit to think about when a toilet isn't a toilet and what else could be combined with a toilet to make it more productive. And we identified a couple of commercial opportunities which will need a business case in due course. The first one is Bakewell Recreation Ground toilets, a rather traditional, rather attractive stone-built building with toilets at either end and a large open area to the front with kind of space at the back that might lend itself to perhaps a kitchen. If you can imagine a cafe in the park, something like the one we enjoy in Matlock, that's a future potential. We've had encouraging noises quite informally from the Peak District National Park that, on the face of it and suitable design, that may be the potential. But obviously we couldn't build that business case in time for the report tonight. But we do want to highlight it as being the kind of thing that you might want to look at in the future, where you're combining a known asset that is well used as a public toilet with the opportunity for a commercial venture. The second one we identified was in the bus station. If you've been to the Matlock bus station, you'll see a waiting area. Lots of young people hang out there, and as a result we've had some vandalism in the toilets. That too could lend itself to a commercial opportunity, perhaps a cafe to welcome travellers when they alight a bus before they walk into Matlock. Perhaps it could also be a cycle hire to link with the cycle path in the district. Again, we think it's worthy of a business case to combine the two activities, but they will take some time to bring back to the table.
Councillor Rose.
Well, so I hope that this finds favour, because I think it makes sense to examine business cases for those two particular properties. I think there are opportunities there and we need to explore them. So I'm happy to move
Councillor Stevens.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Well, I agree. We've talked at other meetings about promoting business cases on behalf of the council and for other people throughout the Dales, and I think this is very worthy of progressing, so I'm happy to second it.
Councillor Martin Burford.
Thank you, Chair. Because obviously Matlock bus station is a prime example of a site that's underused really. It was a strange design when it was first conceived over 10 years ago. It's only been built, only been in operation for 10 years, and I don't think its potential is realised at all. And I think the backlog repairs surprised me at 21,900 for a 10-year-old building. I can't credit that at all. So I wonder why there's been so much neglect of repairs on this particular site. So that the fabric was deteriorated supposedly. I know there are problems with maintenance, and I think that those of us in Matlock have complained about the maintenance and cleaning there several times over the years.
But the interesting proposal, as Sandra's explained, is about the waiting room at the bus station. Because that's never been properly used by. You don't see more than one or two passengers waiting there normally. It's very cold in there as well. So I think it'd be ideal as a conversion to a cafe as being described, or particularly as a cycle hire centre, as I've had that in mind for a while. And I think we need to encourage cycling in Matlock as the bottom end of the trail, and it could encourage more cycle-type shops in the town centre as well. So I think what we need on this site is a closer examination of the site and a draft plan. So I suggest that someone does a space and layout comparison with the other cycle hire centres in the area, like Parsley Hay, Ascot and Ashbourne, to assess the viability of this particular site for this purpose. So I fully support that.
Councillor Slack.
Thank you, Chair. Coming back to Artist Corner, would it be possible to put a condition on the sale that they bring a smaller toilet in, of course, not like they've got now, for public use?
I think we'll have that on the next item. Not on this one, I think. Any other points on this one? So this is the business case for the two commercial properties. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favour, please show. Thank you very much. That's unanimous. Item 9, the community toilet scheme. Engaging name. Sandra.
No update, Chair. I think it's all documented in the report.
Okay. Councillor Bright, would you like to move this? Well, very good. Councillor Donnelly? Okay. Anyone, any other comments? No, thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Please show. Thank you very much. Okay. Item 10. About the fruit.
Chairman, I know Councillor Corley earlier on asked for an itemised vote on each of these proposed closures. I really seriously think that that's what we should be doing. We should be voting on each one individually, and I would like to propose that.
Is that...
Chair, if I can help. The management of the meeting is in your control. It's your job to ensure democracy, but you'll have virtual rule as to when you will take propositions.
You'd like to say the second?
Chair, it's not a proposition. What I'm trying to say is it's your gift to run the meeting as you think fit. But perhaps if I could illustrate what you might want to do. You could, for example, have a mover and seconder for all of these recommendations on block, and then invite propositions to remove some from the list, so that you only discuss the ones that are of highest importance. So that may be a way that you wish to proceed.
Thank you very much, Sandra. That was what I was going to say. But you said it so beautifully for me.
That's a nice man for you.
Just one other point, Chair. Could I have to record a vote on this?
Absolutely. Does that find a seconder?
Seconded, Chair.
All those, that's that. We're going to have a recorded vote. Thank you very much. Right. So, Sandra, could you explain item 2?
I think what I'd like to do, Chair, just to get someone else speaking, is ask Mike to address the member of the public's concerns about the plant room in Matlock, just to address those first.
We can see some photographs as well.
Not on that specific point, Chair, but photographs I can share later on. So, just in terms of the facility in Morley's Park, Children's Play Area, I think Mr. Coffey, when he spoke, asked about the issue of the toilets there include the plant room for the splash pad area. In closing the toilets and demolishing, we would have to take account of the fact that there is some plant in there, and we would have to adapt the plant room. It would be a smaller plant room. It's currently in a larger building. That building will simply become smaller. But just to answer the other point that you made, you can see in the detail of the recommendations where it refers to that facility, that it says that we will be, what we're recommending is that we investigate the potential for a concession or alternative uses on site, and in doing that we'd be happy to involve Mr. Coffey and his staff and the other tenants that we have in Morley's Park that make the park such a success. So we would definitely want them to be involved in that process, but that really comes after this decision.
Thank you very much. Sandra.
Yeah, the only other thing that I would say on this particular one is that we need to remind ourselves of the reasons for closure which were given to us. We've done a full assessment in Appendix 4, and you have to look at these particular facilities in terms of their life cycle. Some are at the end of their life cycle, their financial viability, and proximity of other facilities has been taken on board. We've also looked again through this commercial lens to see about the potential for capital receipts, which the council may direct to other priorities. I think this is really down to the detail, and we're happy to answer questions.
Councillor Rose.
Well, I think we're coming to the main part of this meeting, Chairman, in the sense that picking up the vibes, there are one or two, if not more, of these toilets that members might want to resist being closed and might come up with some other alternatives. It would be interesting to see. But, coming back to my original remarks, this is about saving money, which we have to save, which we've all agreed we've got to save. And insofar as we chip away at any of these, that saving reduces until the point where we'll have to be asking members to think of something else that can be cut or withdrawn from. Because there isn't the money. Much as we'd like to go back to the 70s and 80s where we can afford all these things, we can't. We're in the real world. So I will move that the closures of the 3-week period of public consultation, and remember it is public consultation. I hope to make this clear. I apologise if I didn't. So we're going to come back to this. This is not the end of the discussion. It's not the final decision. There's going to be that further 3-week period concentrated on these particular items, and I'll move that we do for all those listed, with the exception of Bonsall and Bramble, which have already been subtracted from the equation.
Councillor Morley.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And thank you, Councillor Ross, for reminding us that it is a consultation and not a final decision, and I'm happy to second that motion.
Councillor Pauly.
Yes, I'm quite willing to go along with all of them except Archie's Corner. I would like that removed from the list and voted on separately.
So do you want to put a proposition?
I will propose that we take that out of the list and vote on it separately.
Does that find a seconder from Councillor Slack? Thank you. Sandra.
Chair, could I just ask that when members are proposing conveniences to come out of the list of closures, that they specify what use they will then take? So are you proposing that this is removed and put into charge, or removed and have us free? It would just help us calculate any savings.
I would like it taken out, kept under District Council control, and looked at to see if we can work out how to use it in a different way ourselves. Perhaps even using it for a commercial purpose, because we are looking at commercialisation of some of our duties, and that might be something we could look at in the future.
Does that meet the criteria?
It does, Chair.
Okay. Councillor, you happy with that?
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
With that, Councillor Flitter?
Yes, Matlock Crawley's Park play area. I was going to ask that the decision on that be deferred, but as it's been pointed out, it is down for consultation. I would feel a lot happier if within that consultation period we look again at discussing this with the Town Council, because we have it back on our agenda a week on Monday, knowing what the position was at tonight's meeting. There is a big possibility that we would like to save these toilets, and I think there are other options, especially with a smaller facility and shared costs. So I'd like those discussions to go ahead prior to the consultation, if that is available, that offer. if that is not possible, I would like this to be taken out.
Sandra.
Thank you, Chair. If you look further in the recommendations, you'll see that I'm asking for extended delegated authority to talk about community asset transfers. And if that one goes ahead, I don't think it prejudices this remaining on the list. It will enable that to happen. Councillor Flitter is, of course, able to move its removal from the list.
Sorry, Councillor Cass.
Thank you, Chair. I can't support this proposition. When we met only a few days ago in this room with everybody, more or less everybody that's here now, everybody voted unanimously to set the council budget for 2018-19. It also set the corporate savings target to make savings of £1 million by 2021, as reported in the medium-term financial plan. Everybody voted in favour of that. The efficiency plan shows how the council expects to deliver the savings. The current efficiency plan includes £240,000 of savings from the review of public conveniences. This is the largest single financial proposal included on the efficiency plan approved by everybody on Monday, and has the potential to significantly affect other proposals. This report identifies ongoing savings of £212,000. If we don't achieve those, then we're going to have to find the costs from other sources. Other financial areas are going to have to suffer if we do not go ahead with this. I do not see that by removing Artists' Corner from the list in number 10, in recommendation number 10, we are not still allowing Sandra to continue to find alternative ways of doing it. I see no reason to remove it from this list at the current time, and what we're looking to do is to go to consultation. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Massey Bloodworth.
Hi, I just wanted to comment on the Matlock Hall Leeds Park one. I know you, from a tourist standpoint, you've checked all the toilets within proximity. My worry is the fact that it is a play area. I mean, have you checked that with a young toddler trying to rush them to the toilet when they can't hold it? I mean, I think you're going to end up with quite a few problems if you close a toilet so close to a play area. Is there no other way, nothing else we could do, even like shut it down to just one toilet and have it as a kid's toilet or something? Because I think that's going to become a problem.
Chair, I can comment on the reason why it's on the list, and I might ask Mike to comment on the practicalities of boiling this down to one facility. The reason that Matlock Hall East play area is on the list is purely for commercial reasons. The extent of backlog repairs, if you were to address those in the review group's opinion, you would be throwing good money after bad, and a line needs to be drawn in the sand in that particular area. But the whole emphasis of the review is not to dampen any ambition for the future. So if, for example, the result of the public consultation, a decision that we've yet to make, that facility was closed, it doesn't dampen the council's ambition to do something new and potentially better.
Can I come on?
On a point of order, we are talking about an amendment, about one item of it. We seem to have strayed into something else.
Right, I understand. Okay. We're talking about the amendment which is about excluding Artist Corner.
Yeah.
Okay, so can we just keep it to that and then we'll take a vote on it. I've got Councillor Sue Burford, Artist Corner. Yep.
Well, no, actually, I don't want to speak on that. I wanted to ask a couple of questions about the
Can we finish the Artist Corner amendment then?
Am I okay to come back later?
Yes, of course. Councillor Swindell, is that Artist Corner?
It is, Chair. It's just that I wanted to make it clear why I'm going to vote against Councillor Crawley's motion. It's not that I don't. A lot of these toilets on here I have reservations about. Some I don't, others. but this is a consultation. I don't believe we're voting tonight to close any of them, and I think it would only be fair for all of them to go out to consultation. So it's not that I don't agree with the points you've made, Councillor Pauling, it's just I think it would only be fair for all of them to go out to consultation, to view the feedback, and then to make a decision on them. So I understand that some councils have jitters about something closing. Please don't chastise me for voting for this, but I want to see the feedback from the public before I make a decision. There are reservations I have about something.
Councillor Hobson.
Just to reiterate what's been all said before and just said by Councillor Swindell, this is a consultation period and we should bear that in mind.
Councillor Salt.
Thank you, Chair. The one question I would ask is, the consultation period of 3 weeks we've heard about, I understand it's impact only rather than we want to shut it up. Can you just clarify perhaps a bit more what goes into impact only, what will be considered, what won't be considered?
We're trying to assess the number of users for these facilities that may be at risk, to get a picture of who they are in terms of demographics, any disability needs that we may need to factor into. And we're trying to assess the impact if that facility were closed, and for the consultees to identify any particular mitigation measures that the council could put in place.
Right, thank you very much. So we're going to take that amendment, which was proposed by Councillor Pawley, seconded by Councillor Slack, to take out Artist Corner out of the list in 10. Okay, so I'm going to put it to the vote now. All those in favour? So that is proposed by Councillor Pawley, seconded by Councillor Slack. Hands up, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All those against? So the vote is 20 to 5. That vote is defeated. Is there any abstentions? No? Okay, so thank you. Can we return then to the debate on item 10, which, remember, it doesn't include Bonsall and Bradwell, just for clarity. Councillor Sue Burford, I think you want to talk. Great.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Mine are actually questions. The first question is about the length of the consultation. I'm a little surprised that it's 3 weeks when the previous consultation was 6 weeks. I think it should be longer than 3 weeks, so that would be the first question stroke point, if you like. A second question stroke point is about the toilets at the play area in Hawleys Park. I think anybody who knows those toilets knows that they were provided under public subscription quite a few years ago, and they are crucial to that area in the park where, as Councillor Massey over there mentioned, was that if it is a play area, there is a paddling pool, and children, when they want to go to the toilet, need a toilet. I'll just come to that. But the question really is, we're very well aware of what a state those toilets are in, and that there is a significant backlog of repairs, but why did we let those toilets get into that state?
Mike?
Yeah, if I could answer that point, Chair. The backlog repairs that run throughout this whole list, in fact, of facilities that are included in the report were identified in the condition surveys in 2015 that the authority had on all its properties. And now, in a lot of cases, and particularly the 2 cases on this list, that being one of them, the Hawleys Park play area, the other being Matlock Bath Pavilion, are 2 facilities that are close to the end of their operating life, i.e. the buildings are not fit for purpose long term. So if facilities were to be retained on that site, they couldn't be, the status quo with those buildings is not really a possibility. We can't just keep them operating because the buildings are at the end of their operating life. And those are 2 on this list where that is the case. There are other backlog repairs at other facilities, but those are the 2 where at the end of their operating life. As regards how do we let them get into that state, it is simply due to there's a mixture of things throughout this list of facilities. It's due to the age of the buildings, it's due to the use, the conditions. Some of the buildings are permanently damp, pavilion toilets being one of them, they're permanently damp, so anything that's in there rusts, it looks unsightly, it makes it difficult to clean, and it becomes a self-perpetuating downward spiral, unfortunately, because as you replace things, they deteriorate. That makes it difficult to clean, that makes it more unpleasant to use, then we get complaints. So that's really the issue. It's not a question of us neglecting them, and indeed we have spent over the last 5 or 6 years. We had a programme in 2011-12 and 2012-13 where we spent close to £300,000 on refurbishing toilets throughout the district, new tiling, new hand dryers, new taps and that sort of thing. So we have spent money on them over time, but we do have a problem with vandalism. We do have a problem with some of the facilities reaching the end of their life. And the idea of the proposals in this report is that we can use the repairs budget we have more prudently in order to keep on top of repairs with less vandalism. We can use that budget rather than repairing things that have been smashed off walls by vandals, actually improving them for the customers that use them. Thank you.
Councillor Pauling.
Yes, Chair, you'll be glad to hear that I've whittled my 11 questions down to 2.
Splendid.
First question is, could we have confirmation that toilets at the Memorial Gardens in Matlock Bath meet all current regulations for accessibility? That's the first one. The second one is, the estimated figures for the use of the Artist Corner and the Pavilion toilets totals 2,333, 3,376. The suggestion is that people have to use Lees Hall Park and Memorial Gardens toilets in Matlock Bath instead. Their current estimated use is 624,260. Adding Artist Corner and the Pavilion toilets will mean nearly a 40% increase in footfall. Can we accommodate that number in Lees Hall Park and the Memorial Gardens in Matlock Bath? Those are my 2 questions. I reserve the right to speak later.
Of course, Mike.
Thank you, Chair. If I can take the first point first, the disabled access issue. The Memorial Gardens toilets in Matlock Bath were fully refurbished approximately a year ago. This was part of some structural work, but it was a refurbishment, so we were refurbishing the building that was there. The accessible toilet that is there was fitted to current building regulation standards at the time as regards disabled access. And we did introduce, because it's not all about disabled access, it's about accessibility as well for people with young children and push chairs, etc. We introduced bigger baby changing areas in both the male and female facilities, so they were done to the standards at the time.
Councillor Martin Blanford.
Thank you, Chair. Well, first of all, generally I'll say many visitor surveys and the visitors generally when they visit places say one of the things they judge a visitor hotspot or visitor venue by is its toilets and the quality of those toilets. I can recall my close involvement many years ago in what was the then new Castle Visitor Centre and its toilets, and we had regular meetings with the British Toilets Association at the time, whose chairman happened to, or managing director which happened to live in Castleton, and that point was reiterated time and time again by him, that if you're responsible for a visitor hotspot, a visitor honeypot, then you need to make sure your toilets are well maintained. So I tend to support what Councillor Flitter said and his offer of further meetings, further discussion with Matlock Town Council about all these play area toilets, because that's where there's going to be an enormous amount of problems if the council do not, or some council, whether it's town or district council, or some other solution is not found to make sure those toilets are properly maintained. And I do find it regrettable that fairly new toilets that were raised, as Sue said, by public subscription or a scheme, a project called Raise a Penny, Spend a Penny, which was initiated by a former chairman of this council, Councillor Peg Edwards, would be turning in her grave if she knew what was being discussed here tonight.
So I do think that it's rather a bad reflection on this council that this maintenance has been so poor over all these years, and that we haven't been able to keep that fairly new building up to scratch and capable of being used by these parents and children. Because, as Councillor Massey Bloodworth said, as a mother herself, and you see it every time you go into Hawley's Park at the weekend, the mothers with their children are going to be tearing their hair out if they have to take their dripping children from the. And don't forget, it's not just a paddling pool; it's a water area where children are permanently wet, dripping in water, and to take them up to the end of the park to Causeway Lane toilets will be absolutely appalling. So I think we've got to find an answer to keeping those toilets open or refurbishing them in line with what Councillor Flitter suggested, with further discussions with the speaker at the beginning of the meeting as well, who has the responsibility of taking money for the boating lake and the train, the miniature railway. So I think further discussions should take place before this is taken out of consultation as a mere support Sue on that as well, on a 3-week period of consultation, which I think should be longer than that anyway. I think it should be taken out for further discussions about a community transfer to another body, preferably the town council, I suspect.
Councillor Suba, Sandra.
Yeah, just to come back to that and perhaps answer one of Councillor Fawley's outstanding questions. I think you make a valid point, Councillor Burfoot, on the need to talk to Matlock Town Council. I will try and make an appointment with them when I'm back in the office tomorrow. I think that's important. But I also think it's important to go through the consultation, because we will end up having a more rounded view of the actual users of that facility and their expectations, how we can mitigate potential closures. So I think it's a rounded discussion that's required, but I still think it needs to be on the list to get that quality back through a consultation exercise. But I will undertake to contact the Town Council tomorrow. And in answer to Councillor Paulley's question, based on our best estimates, yes.
Councillor Hill.
Just a request. Before you start the consultation regarding the Riverside and Bakewell toilets, you make some suitable signage directing people to the toilets in the ABC, which are right next door, and you make those useful.
Councillor Stevens.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I just want to endorse what Sandra said about the Hawley's toilets. It's been raised about paying public funding to build those. I was a member of that very small committee who raised the money for that, and my original reaction on reading the report was horror, because we were bombarded at the time by local parents to provide a facility for the children, because they could not get the children from the paddling pool play area up to the main toilets. And you know, it doesn't need much imagination to remember what was happening with those children. Now, you know, I agree with Councillor Flitter has called it back to Town Council, and I appreciate that. That is good. I'm pleased Town Council that we will be able to discuss it again, and hopefully we will be able to see a way forward to work with the district. But as Sandra said, this is going back out to the public for consultation, and I think that I knew Peggy very well, and I am sure that if she'd been here, she would be pleased that we were going back to the public. They were behind this block being built originally. Yes, it's a different lot of parents there now, but we need to know what they think, what they feel. So I'm supporting this en bloc, because I feel we need the public's opinion.
Councillor Elliott. There's only one Elliott tonight, so beg your pardon.
I'm going to support this going out to consultation, and but I do welcome what Sandra's just said, that she's going to come to Matlock Town Council, because I believe that something better could be put on that site and possibly include a smaller toilet for the children down there, and I look forward to something a lot better. Thank you very much.
Councillor Suba, you reserve the right to speak again. Would you like to?
No.
Thank you very much. Councillor Rose, would you like to sum up?
I don't think I need to.
Right, okay. I've got nobody else on the table. It's been proposed and seconded. Item 10, that is just for clarification.
Excuse me, Chair, I did ask...
I beg your pardon.
Yes.
I beg your pardon. Councillor Pauling.
I've got a page and a half here I was going to say, but I'm not going to say it. I don't think it's going to get me anywhere. All I can say is that I kept an open mind when I came to this meeting this evening. I didn't come in here trying to stir, as I think some people might be thinking I'm doing. I have to say, nothing has been mentioned this evening about why we are in this situation, why we are having to take away these facilities from tourists and residents. And that is because we are being hit by government cuts. And that underlines everything we're having to do. None of us in this room, I'm sure none of us in this room, want to make these decisions this evening, but it has to be said.
Thank you very much. No other contributions on the table. It's been moved and seconded. Item 10, that is without Bonsall and Bradwell. I repeat, it's been moved and seconded. We're going to have a recorded vote, are we not? So, I'll leave you over to Jackie.
Councillor Botham.
Against.
Councillor Bright.
For.
Councillor Bull.
For.
Councillor Martin Burfoot.
Yeah.
Councillor Sue Burfoot.
Yeah.
Councillor Catt.
For.
Councillor Chapman.
For.
Councillor Donnelly.
For.
Councillor Elliott.
For.
Councillor Fitzherbert.
For.
Councillor Flitter.
Against.
Councillor Froggatt.
For.
Councillor Finesse.
For.
Councillor Hill.
For.
Councillor Hobson.
For.
Councillor Horton.
For.
Councillor Morley.
For.
Councillor Murphy.
For.
Councillor Pawley.
Against.
Councillor Rose.
For.
Councillor Salt.
For.
Councillor Slack.
Against.
Councillor Statham.
For.
Councillor Stevens.
For.
Councillor Swindle.
For.
Councillor Tibbenham.
For.
And and that's it.
20 to 6.
Yeah.
So how much was it?
24.
20 votes for and 6 against. The motion is carried. Thank you very much. We move to number 11. That having regard to the results of the consultation above, report is presented to April Council. Sandra.
Just a quick amendment to the recommendation there, Chairman, bearing in mind a 3-week consultation will still produce quite a lot of feedback, and to give us ample time to discuss this, I'm suggesting a special meeting of the Council in April as opposed to the fixed date in the recommendation.
Councillor Rose.
Well, I'm with that, Chairman. I think it's very sensible. We will probably be an hour and a half tonight. If Monday night was anything to go by, I think we're all pretty well exhausted by the time we've got through 2 meetings. And the April meeting will be quite busy. And so I assume that a special meeting will take place sometime after that date, towards the end of April. It certainly will be the 4th, 12th of April because of the 3-week consultation period. So I'll move item 11.
Councillor Catt.
I'll second that, Chairman.
Councillor Martin Burfoot.
I just wanted to ask when this meeting was going to be, because it's we seem to have a lot of unscheduled meetings at the moment organised at fairly short notice, and it's coming up to spring and probably people want to go on holiday or whatever, and it's going to be quite an important decision about certain toilets. So like Councillor Morley laughing about it, but it's not. It's very serious to people in Matlock and visitors to Matlock, to be honest. So I think it's important that these issues are discussed, and if they're going to be missing because we're on holiday and we don't know about a meeting that's scheduled, then I think we need to have as much notice as possible.
We'll certainly give you as much notice as possible for this meeting. Sometimes it's very difficult to arrange meetings with the schedule we have, and we're a bit behind after the weather last week. Anyone else like to speak on this one? It's been moved and seconded. All those in favour, please show. We've got a couple against.
Yeah, this one, I think 22.
Oh, sir.
2, I think.
Unanimous?
No, was it?
Yes. Item 12, Sandra.
Recommendation 12 is about extending the delegated authority to consult with town and parish councils on the prospect of community asset transfers. You'll see in the report that parish council, Bonsall in particular,
we're seeking a higher offer. If you agree to delegated authority moving forward, I would urge the same formula that we've used throughout, consistency. That's the £3,000 incentive plus the backlog repairs, not to exceed 1 year's operating costs.
Councillor Bright.
I'd just like to move the motion.
Thank you very much. Councillor Morley.
Yes, I'm happy to second that, Chair. Thank you.
Anybody else like to? Oh, Councillor Sack. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've got to carry on and try and move them into parish council or town council.
Okay. Nobody else on the table. It's been moved and seconded. Please show. It's unanimous. Thank you very much. Item 13, Sandra.
This is about consultation with staff. I've had 2 meetings so far, and just to give you words of encouragement for a member of staff who thinks that the proposals in the report were good and that they looked forward to being able to do a better job.
Councillor Stevens.
I'd like to move this, Chair. I've seen cleaning staff regularly on Holy Week and also when they're ad hoc back during the illuminations, and they're all very dedicated to the work they're doing, and I think at the moment they are under immense pressure. So to be able to talk with them and to move things forward, I'm happy to move this.
Councillor Donnelly.
I'll second that, Chair.
Thank you very much. Anybody else like to contribute? It's been moved and seconded. Please vote show. It's unanimous. Item 14, about signage. Sandra.
The signs that we're proposing are in the report, but just to come back on a comment by Councillor Hill, if we do close the facility in Bakel, we will not be automatically signposting people to the ABC. That's reserved for use by events. But we will be signposting people to full range of facilities in town centres.
Councillor Finesse.
Yes, I'd like to move that recommendation, Chair.
Councillor Morley.
Yes, I'd like to second that recommendation, and in so doing, can I draw the attention of the members of the public to the fact that Sandra Lamb is a very senior member of staff and pulled together a super team and done a great job, as well as her ordinary day job. She's actually the head of Democratic Services, so congratulations to this, Sandra. And equally, in a previous life, I've got some experience of selling space in council property, so if I can help with that, I'd be delighted to do that.
Councillor Pawley.
Yes, as representative for the marketing hub, a member representative for the marketing hub, I'd like to know if we are looking at increasing the budget to allow for this to happen.
Potentially, yes, Chair.
Any other contributions on this one? It's been moved and seconded. All those please show. That's unanimous. Item 15, a spec drawn up to invite tenders to outsource the cleaning of the district councils during 1920. Sandra.
No comment on that aspect, Chair.
Councillor Rose? Oh, Bagel. Yeah. Thank you very much. Councillor Stevens?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Thank you very much, keeping me on your toes. All those... Would you like to say something? Oh, no. Great. It's been moved and seconded. That's item number 15. All those in favour, please show. Unanimous? Thank you very much. And item 16, the review going forward. Sandra, do you want to say anything?
No comment, Chair.
Councillor Hobson.
I'd like to move this proposal. I'd also like to take the opportunity to echo what Councillor Morley's already said about the hard work that Sandra and her team have put into this whole process. I know from personal experience she's been out to my parish council and had a lot of dialogue with our residents, and I'm sure the same care will be taken with the next consultation process.
Yeah. Councillor Slack.
Yeah, I agree with that. Sandra and the team have done a really remarkable job.
And you'd like to second it?
Yeah, second that, yeah.
Thank you very much. All those in favour, please show. Thank you very much. That concludes this evening. Unanimous. Thank you. Thank you very much to the members of the public as well for attending. Thank you. Good night. Well,